welcome to Eeh Bah Gore, the horror movie review show. Now, if you're familiar with our work, you'll know that we review horror movie franchises. You'll also know that I normally have somebody here to do it with me, but he's not here today. But this is a little extra from me to you. It also gives me a chance to talk about one of my favourite things in the world right now, Chucky. The TV series, that is, airing now on SyFy. And if you've been following so far, you'll know that the evil serial killer Charles Lee Ray is imprisoned in a good guy doll. He's also infiltrated the life of moody teen Jake Wheeler, who's struggling with just about everything from his sexuality to poverty. We've met Junior, the spoiled cousin, Lexi, the bitch, and Devon, the love interest, as well as an assortment of adults who we're really not sure about yet, but that's about to change. After the blistering pace set so far in Chucky the TV show, episode 5 definitely feels like a slower entry. That's not to say that nothing happens though. The writers know that in order for us to stay invested in the show, we're going to need to know more characters. So that's exactly what we get. Just in case you didn't know this by now, we spoil the shit out of these shows. So if you've not seen Chucky episode 5 yet, go and give it a watch and come right back. So, episode 5, we're trekked to a flashback. Fucking flashback. But it's not just any flashback. This is a flashback to the 80s, where we meet a young Charles Lee Ray, played by Fiona Dourif. Yep, Brad Dourif's real-life daughter and star of both Curse and Cult of Chucky. The makeup effects are phenomenal, and she looks the absolute spitting image of a young Brad Dourif. Does actually help that she's been voiced by Brad himself. But anyway, the young Charles Lee Ray spots a young lady at the discotheque and quickly starts convincing her that he's just the psycho she's been looking for. But forget about that for now. It's time for modern-day Chucky to make his escape from the hospital. Being a half-melted doll makes it a little bit hard to do, but luckily, Caroline, now seeing the melted Chucky, decides that she can no longer love a doll that looks like an extra from Dead Alive. Luckily, Caroline's dad decides to throw him away, so down the medical chute he goes, where Chucky emerges, although a little bit spikier than when he went in. But he better get out of there quick, because a crack squad of teenagers are bearing down upon him. Yes, Devon and Jake have joined forces with fucking Lexi? Jesus Christ. So I'm to believe that mere hours after Jake has sent Chucky to murder Lexi, he's now done a complete 180 and now wants to work with her to kill Chucky. I mean, I understand wanting to kill Lexi. She's been built as this insane monster of a character, going to such extremes as setting up a GoFundMe page for his poverty, and even dressing like his dead dad at a party. But why does Jake need to join her? I don't get it. I mean, I know he's got guilt over the attempted murder, but Jake, give yourself a break, dude. That being said, Lexi is still a damn entertaining character. Anyway, the kids realise that Chucky is no longer there after they've done a spot of bin dipping in a skip full of hypodermic needles. So they're basically best friends now. They have group meetings in the middle of class to plan their next step on how to kill Chucky. This seems a little bit off to Junior, who's used to seeing Lexi make Jake's life a living hell. But despite people dropping dead all around him and a killer doll trying to murder the shit out of him, things are actually looking up for Jake. And during a little heart-to-heart with Devon, Devon grabs his hand in a show of solidarity and confirming that yes, they are indeed an item. And it's a great feel-good moment. We've seen Jake go through some shit in the first 4 episodes. Father dying, Chucky manipulating him, and merciless bullying by Lexi. It's a wonder the kid's not a fucking wreck. But seeing the relief on his face when he knows that Devon's with him, accepts him, and not only that, reciprocates his feelings, it's such a great moment of catharsis, not only for the character but for the audience as well. But back in Hackensack, we learn more about Lexi's mom, Mayor Cross. Mainly that as well as being a shitty mom, she's also a shitty mayor. Yep, half her luxurious mansion is burned to shit, but that's nothing that a little public funding can't help. Who cares if it's public money used to cover up a mess made by her and her family? As long as the public feels safe, who gives a shit? But that doesn't sit right with Papa Cross and Lexi, who says lying is bad. I don't know what's inspired this drastic change of character from Lexi, seeing as this time last week she was Satan incarnate. But she's part of the good guy club now, so established character traits be damned. Anyway, fuck the mayor. Mr. Cross decides he needs to cheer Caroline up, so it just so happens that he's bought her... Chucky? Where the fuck did you come from? And where did you get that awesome plastic surgery? Turns out this is actually a brand new doll. Tommy. And guess what? He's your friend to the end too. Not Lexi's friend though, as she rips him out of Caroline's arm and begins beating the shit out of him, trying to check if it is actually Chucky. Which it isn't. But it sure gives a moment of a reason to tell Lexi just what a jumped up little shit she really is. Which she is. I mean, I don't like the mum any better, but Lexi has just ripped Caroline's new doll from her arms and beat the shit out of it in front of the family. And now we've learned what a rampant bitch the mayor is, it's time to check out some of the other adults. Turns out Uncle Logan is also a reprehensible arsehole, using his influence, whatever that may be, to bypass Junior's failure to attend regionals, and has now got him a chance to race in the nationals of cross country. Wow, these guys really take cross country seriously. And is anyone else getting, serious Stephen King vibes here? I mean, the kids are a mixture of bullies and the bullied, and the parents are even bigger assholes. It's like it's been lifted straight out of Derry. But seeing as there's no trace of Pennywise anywhere, we have to see Chucky peering through the window in the pouring rain at Caroline playing with her new Tommy doll and... Wait? Is this a fucking nod to Toy Story 4? Anyway, later that night, Mr. Cross is checking out Caroline's room and finds the melted Chucky. And seeing as though we've got Tommy now, he decides to throw it away yet again. But Lexi spots the little bastard and calls the dream team up on the double. The plan? Simple. Kick his ass until he's dead. Which actually works out pretty fucking well for them, because they find him in the bin and stomp the shit out of him until he's spare parts. So happy ending, right? Lexi appears to have completed her metamorphosis into less of a bitch. Chucky is dead. Devon and Jake share a little smooch as they ride off into the sunset. What a wonderful way for Jake's story to come full circle. Wrong! This show isn't called Jake, it's called Chucky! And as such, the show realises, hey, we can't end it here, so we better take a look at more of Charles Lee Ray's backstory. So we catch up with young Charles, again in a retro 80s discotheque, except this time chatting it up with a gorgeous redhead. And it's not long before he and his blonde girlfriend talk her back to her hotel room for some sexy time. Well, the girls are having sexy time, but we know this is not the kind of penetration that Charles Lee Ray likes. So he grabs his knife, intending to slit the throat of the gorgeous redhead in his hotel room. But instead of showing fear, she surprises the shit out of him by demanding he take her life right then, right there. Intrigued by the balls on this chick, well, figuratively speaking anyway, he decides not to kill her, but he is a serial killer and needs to keep up appearances, so instead he stabs the blonde girl, whose name we never really learned, and they share the kill together. And of course, for anyone familiar with the film series, you will know that this particular redhead is none other than Tiffany, played by Jennifer fucking Tilly. And as if the voice wasn't enough of a giveaway, she does actually introduce herself as Tiff, and also gives Charles Lee Ray his immortal nickname, Chucky. Keeping in the spirit of discovery, it's time to learn more about Jake's Aunt Bree. Now, there's been subtle hints throughout the series that she's hiding something. Chucky mentions it during the talent show, and she's attempted to talk to Logan multiple times about something that they're not confronting. And given that most of the adults on this show are monsters, you would be forgiven for thinking she was having an affair. But sadly not. We've discovered that the poor woman has been diagnosed with stage 3 cancer. She's not told her family yet, and she's struggling to find the right time with everything that's going on. Would you look at that? Not every adult here is an asshole, and she doesn't want to put any extra pressure on Junior. However, she also doesn't want to face this alone, so she does agree to speak to her family about this. But back to the psychopaths. Wait, is that fucking Nika? From Curse and Cult of Chucky? Yes, it is. So Nika, played again by Fiona Dourif, was the main character in Curse of Chucky and Cult of Chucky, playing a wheelchair-bound daughter of a Chucky victim, a woman he was dangerously obsessed with before murdering her. And in Curse of Chucky, he comes back to claim revenge on Nika. Not sure what for, but in the end he's just about failed to kill her, instead settling for framing her for murder, having her committed to a mental facility, and ultimately possessing her at the end of Cult of Chucky. This revelation also does confirm the canon set forth in earlier Chucky movies that Chucky did in fact split his soul and is now operating in at least 2 different pieces. So Chucky's got Horcruxes. And this particular piece of his soul is still occupying Nika, who's enjoying a lovely little roll around with Jennifer Tilly. And of course, this wouldn't be Chucky unless there was a dead body close by and a prisoner bound and gagged ready to be killed. But he'll have to wait. Chucky and Tiffany have never had the most zen-like relationship. In fact, you could say they're downright toxic. So they have one of their classic arguments, this time over snacks. But as Tiffany storms out, Nika manages to rush to the service, rendering her paralysed again. And it doesn't really do anything other than let us know that Nika is still in there, and also that Chucky can lose control of his host at certain times. Anyway, Chucky regains consciousness, kills the fuck out of the prisoner, and then takes Tiff to dinner. Who says chivalry's dead? Anyway, enough of this awesome walk down memory lane, furthering the understanding of Chucky both as an entity and as a serial killer. It's back to the important stuff. Like the mayor trying to convince everyone that Hackensack is still safe as hell. Yeah, the problem with that is that there have been multiple fatalities in the past week or so, ranging from housekeepers to children, so the crowd call her on this bullshit. But then Detective Evans steps in to let them know that they're doing all they can to get to the bottom of this so that they can feel safe and have no need to worry. But they do need to worry. In fact, they need to be downright terrified, because it's revealed that the school principal has been brutally beheaded and displayed behind the curtain for the whole fucking town to see. It should be noted here as well that this kill is fucking awesome. But who could perform such a brutal murder, you ask? Well, it's your favourite killer doll, Tommy. Or rather, Chucky, inside Tommy. You see, the previous night, Chucky had broken into Carolyn's room and after realising that he looked like ground up shit, decided to try some of that good old fashioned voodoo that he's become so good at to transfer his soul into the fresh new Chucky doll. And so ends episode 5, with all the pieces put expertly in place for the final half of the season. Jake has had his short spell of relief only to be crushed by the realisation that they're back to square one. And we do know way more about what's going on with the grown-ups. Lexi's mum, the mayor, is starting to lose the respect of her family and her constituents. Logan is showing that he's more than willing to use his influence to further his own interests, and Bree's health is sure to play a factor in the family dynamic going forward. Also, not sure how Detective Evans is going to take finding out about Devon's relationship with Jake. She's seemed pretty cool so far with Devon's life choices, but so far her only one rule has been stay away from Jake. So let's just see how that plays out. And of course, the return of Jennifer Tilly as Tiffany and Fiona Dourif as Nika, and the revelation that Chucky has split his soul is sure to throw up some twists and turns in the upcoming weeks. All in all, Chucky episode 5 is a far slower affair than the previous 4. We've been used to the story hurtling past us at a million miles an hour, but it was a refreshing change of pace to take things a little bit slower. That's not to say that nothing happened. Quite the opposite. We followed the evolution of the characters we already know, such as Jake and Devon's transition from friends to love interest, and in turn gives Jake the confidence to act as we've never seen him before. We also discovered more about characters that are going to be becoming more important as the weeks go on, like the mayor and her crumbling empire, and her husband's implied disdain, or the fact that Logan's an overbearing parent, and is that going to be at odds with Bree's struggle with her diagnosis? But that's not to say everything about this is perfect. I still don't buy Lexi's change in attitude. It's nothing to do with the acting or anything. I just think that she did such an awesome job in the first few episodes of being the ultimate bitch that going full on babyface just doesn't feel real. Also, the whole Chucky splits his soul. I'm a die-hard Chucky fan. I've seen all the movies multiple times, and I was still confused about what was going on with present-day Chucky being in Nika as well as in the doll. It made more sense when I realised it was a continuation of the Cult of Chucky canon. But if you were a newbie coming into the series for the first time, I could see how it would confuse the shit out of you. I mean, at times this episode did feel more like a sequel directly to Cult of Chucky rather than an episode 5 in a series. But that's not really a problem for me. What? I'm not objective. You know this. Despite the nitpicky bits and pieces, the episode was a rousing success. Getting the feel-good moments with Jake and Devon's relationship, and the kids thinking they've got Chucky beat, only for the world to come crashing back down on them when it's just brilliant writing. The return of Tiffany was an incredible moment, and it's something I'd been waiting for since episode 1. And Fiona Dourif playing the character that her dad made famous so many years ago was just so great to see. So, to sum this up, another very strong episode, not as pacey as the others, but it's not shy on blood and drama. And we're halfway through the series now, and I'm still blown away. I cannot wait for episode 6. Join me next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out the main podcast where me and Triss are neck deep in her Halloween franchise. But until then, and until next time, it's goodbye from me. Silly.